In fact, I am so grateful tonight that I am on the same side with Ahmed Deedat. I never want to be on the other side of the fence. I never want to be in the opposition to Ahmed Deedat. As I ponder the provocative topic of this symposium, is Israel set up for destruction, my thoughts keep returning to the appearance of an Israeli citizen recently in a small dining room on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Get the picture. His name is Israel Sheikh. He is the speaker of the occasion. He is a professor of chemistry at Hebrew University. He is a Jew. In his audience are people who work for U.S. congressmen, a few former members of the Congress, former career diplomats of the United States, and others interested in the peace movement for the Middle East, perhaps 75 people in all. The speaker is ordinary in appearance, about my height. He has gray, wispy hair. He wears thick glasses. He speaks softly. The noise from the adjoining dining rooms make it very difficult for any of us to hear what he has to say, but his words are well worth straining to hear. He is remarkable. He knows adversity and fear as do few people on earth. He is a survivor of one of Adolf Hitler's death camps for Jews, a survivor of the Holocaust, himself a Jew, and in his words, a law-abiding citizen of Israel. No one will accuse him of being anti-Semitic. And as a survivor of the Holocaust, no one will accuse him of being indifferent to the suffering of Jews under Nazi Germany. He makes his living teaching chemistry, but his calling is decency in human relations. He warns against the destructive course of Israeli policy. He cries out with concern for the plight of the Palestinians, and he expresses anguish for the future of the land that he loves and wants to keep loving, the state of Israel. In another time, he would be a prophet, and the Christian Bible that Ahmed Deedat knows so well might well contain a new book, a book of Sheikh. He's a modern-day prophet, calling upon his own people in Israel to repent their sins against their neighbors, trying to awaken at the same time the people of the United States to the grim and awful truth about what is really happening inside the state of Israel. He expresses his warning and his anguish in Washington, D.C., which is just exactly the right place, because the U.S. government is the lifeline for the state of Israel. Therefore, the people of America should know the reality of the Middle East, because they must accept the blame, much of the blame, for what is happening in Israel, because they are indeed the lifeline without which Israel could not survive. Prophet Sheikh's usual weapon is the written word. Every month, he seeks out in the Hebrew language press of Israel facts about happenings within that state. He translates these into English and sends copies of the translation to a number of periodicals in the United States. This report is critically important because it reviews Israel's Hebrew press, not Israel's English press. It is the Hebrew press that describes reality in Israel. For one thing, the Hebrew press reports accurately what Prime Minister Shamir has to say. It tells the truth about Shamir's thoughts. Israel Sheikh says, and I quote him, "Shamir lies only in English." End of quote. That is to say, if you really want to know What is on Shamir's mind? Listen to what he has to say in Hebrew. The English press in Israel is tailor-made for foreign consumption, designed mainly for the people of the United States, to support and reinforce the powerful effect of Israel's lobby in the United States, where all that is good about Israel is emphasized and exaggerated, and all that is evil is ignored or rationalized. In contrast, the Hebrew press in Israel tells it like it is. Each month, Israel Sheikh seeks out and translates into English those portions of the Hebrew press that reflect true conditions about that country, true trends within Israel, and facts about what is really happening within the occupied territory in the West Bank and Gaza. Israel Sheikh, like myself, speaks mainly without gestures, but his words come like thunder, and his words help to answer the question of this symposium. That very fundamental and searching question: is Israel set up for destruction? Or more precisely, perhaps, is Israel setting itself up for destruction? Listen to the words, the evidence from this Israeli citizen, Israel Sheikh. Not evidence from myself, who some say has a certain bias, but from this illustrious citizen of Israel who has no anti-Israeli bias whatever. Listening to Israel Sheikh speak and reading his commentaries, one cannot miss towering evidence of self-destruction. Working within Israel's Jewish citizens are forces that are literally shaking society to its very roots. If Israel is set up for destruction, the forces of greatest menace to its survival come from within and are largely Israel's own making. Israel Sheikh draws somber and sobering parallels between events in Nazi Germany in the 1930s and what is happening within Israel today. In Nazi Germany, Jews were treated as subhumans, as things to be manipulated, to be abused, to be humiliated, to be destroyed. And Hitler's first goal was to make life so miserable that Jews would leave Germany. He wanted the Jews simply to pack out and leave Europe. There was no thought in those early years of destroying the Jews in the death camps. The final solution did not come until years later. And today, in many ugly, terrible ways, the leaders of Israel are saying of the Palestinians, they must go, they must get out, just like the Nazi message to the Jews in Europe: you must go, you must get out. Indeed, "They Must Go" is the title of a book, a very candid book, written by Israel's candid but popular rabbi politician Meir Kahane. And Kahane is not the only one who harbors these terrible thoughts that the Palestinians must pack up and go. "They must go" is the unspoken solution of the Israelis to the Palestinian problem. And it's a solution that is accepted and supported by many Israelis and many Israeli politicians, not just Rabbi Meir Kahane. Israel's goal is clearly to make life so miserable that Palestinians will leave the occupied territory. To their Israeli masters, Palestinians are not people, they are subjects. They are not human beings, they are not children of God, they are things. Israel is engaged in a giant, awful squeeze play on the Palestinians, a pincer movement against them. The Palestinians are relentlessly being forced into ever smaller areas of land with ever reduced amounts of water on which to survive. Opportunities for education, for health care, for telephone service are often interrupted and on an unpredictable